This is the In-Laws podcast from 1718 Media. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating if you enjoy the show.
My name is Arthur.
I'm Philip.
And I'm John.
So the people just heard our fire-ass intro.
Hey.
We paid a guy to...
A lot of money.
He has a
lot.
He's got a movie voice. Shout out to... His name's Don. Shout out to Don.
Shout out to Don. You got some nice pipes, bro.
No, actually, I
Nice
think we should tell the people. Don is not a real person. He's actually computer-generated voice, which makes it even cooler.
Cooler and like a little bit creepy, right?
A little bit
Am I the only one? Like a little bit creepy.
We're definitely in the age of like deep fakes and stuff, so that is kind of scary because he sounds real. Don sounds very real.
Bro, you ever wonder if there's like deep fakes of you out there?
Well, the thing is, I don't think I'm important enough.
With how famous our podcast has gotten, and like,
exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I think
Probably one in Russia. Don't we have some listeners?
We do have.
Welcome.
Our second place country is Russia, which is very sketchy.
1.2% of our streams.
About 2% of our streams are from Russia, so I don't know what that's about.
Shit.
They must have thought that we were very influential for us to get like recognized over there and possibly hack.
Low key.
Right?
Yeah.
Yo, low key Putin streaming the cast, bro. Shouts Putin streaming up. Let's go.
We are the ideal podcast to listen to if you just want to know what a few dudes are like in conversation.
We pretty much represent male America, I think.
What is weird though is that there is enough there's enough voice clips and audio of us to the point where if we ever are important enough to be deep faked, it will be very easy to do so.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So that is kind of sketchy. It's okay.
That's okay.
And now we add a video to the mix, so we'll be deep faked in video to make it even better.
Yeah, I feel like is that when you know you've made it? Like,
Dude, I did see a deep fake of Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
and it was scary.
I think I've seen what you're talking about. The one he posted it right one time.
Well, actually, the one I heard was only audio, but it was indistinguishable from the you can make that man say anything.
That's the thing is like the frequency rate's like a little bit slower when you're doing audio. I mean, some of those things, if you just make it sound a little bit worse, just like with some of the deepfake videos, you just blur it out a little bit. Like it's looks like it's a little bit lower quality. It really looks real. You're like, oh shit. Just looks like, I don't know, 7, not even like 360 maybe.
Yeah.
That shit's a little creepy.
Man. Catfishing is going to get worse and worse.
Oh, shit.
With deep faking, man.
I had never even thought about that.
Honestly, you don't even have to really deepfake anymore. Freaking Instagram filters are pretty insane. Like some of the Elizabeth was showing me one the other day where like it's like a filter and it just like it's tweaks, man. It is the smallest tweaks, which I feel like are even more dangerous. It like makes your nose a little smaller, makes your lips a little bigger, smooths out your skin just a tad. Dude, you can't even tell, bro. It's the weirdest thing.
That's scary.
I'm down for it. I need mine just a little bit smaller.
I'm
down to use it
to push them in. What's it called? My friend wants to know.
Asking for a friend. Yeah. I'm trying to get those luscious lips, bro. Trying to get voluminous.
Trying to get rid of these bags under my eyes.
I'm down to use it. I just don't want other people to use it,
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to be tricked. I don't mind fooling a few people, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. All right, let's I think we got to talk about it. It's only right. Kanye West on the JRE, Joe Rogan podcast. I only made it about 25 minutes in, so I got a lot left in the tank before I am able to give a reasonable opinion on it. But did you guys catch it at all so far? I mean, it came out literally today when we're recording this. So
yeah, it came out like 5 hours ago. I've listened to like maybe 35 minutes of it. So I'm kind of the same thing where like, and what I always look at the comments anytime I get on like a JRE episode. I always go through like the comments as I'm watching the first things, just like see where things are and what people's response are, if it's like worth listening to.
Yeah.
And most of the comments have been like the first 28, 30 minutes are like rambling out of control. It's like very hard to
Oh.
kind of get into, and then I feel like it kind of settles a little bit. So I do look forward to listening to the rest of it, just because I'm a fan and I'm interested to just hear the stream of consciousness that comes from this guy. I think it will be probably one of his highest viewed. I mean, it was popping when I
hype.
first. It was like I got on. It was like 18 minutes since it had been uploaded when I first started watching it. I already had like 250,000 views. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, this thing's about to pop off.
It's gonna blow.
I got like 2 hours and 15 minutes in,
Oh,
and I was like, man, like I was doing things and I was listening to it, but yeah, pretty much that. Like he started calling his rants symphonies for a reason. Like there's a little rant that he goes through, and it kind of explains how he's thinking. Actually, Joe Rogan kind of broke down the way he thinks and the way he explains things, and it makes so much more sense. But yeah, like I don't want to butcher it, but he almost looks when you give him an idea, or he has an idea, he kind of thinks about it in multiple perspectives, and then he tries to explain it through all those different perspectives. So it all kind of gets rambled up. But the way he kind of thinks of it is like, okay, you have all these instruments, and they all kind of contribute to the same sound, or your music, I guess, and it's a symphony. All his thoughts are kind of like those parts of his idea. But oh man, I've gotten through most of it, and I've kind of comprehended most of it because I've had to go back and. But dude, he talks. It's probably like 3 hours long. He probably talks for like 2.5 hours, and Joe Rogan maybe has 30 minutes where he's like, okay, wait, what did you mean by this? Or is this what you meant by this? And then he'll kind of go off on it again. But he's pretty positive throughout the whole thing. And he's, I guess, very religious about everything that he's saying now. So it's kind of like this shift from, being a gangster, not a gangster, but like a
kind of more wild.
hip hop. Yeah, hip hop rapper guy to like a egotistical dude to like kind of trying to be a fashion icon guy, and then trying to going into like his religious stage of life. And it's he's very positive about everything, and he's looking forward to the future and making things better. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah.
The one reason, because they've been talking about doing this podcast for a long time, and I didn't know if it would ever happen, but the one thing about Kanye West is the man can rant, and when a lot of the times, and even in the 30 minutes that I've seen, he jumps from idea to idea, and it's kind of hard to follow. And I always kind of envisioned that that's what a long form podcast with him would be like. So it's just kind of hard to follow him and understand the point he's trying to make a lot of the time. I think maybe it'll get better with the rest of the episode, but so far, I don't know how much substance there's been from what I've seen.
I think for me, like with someone like Kanye, I don't even know if I should say someone like Kanye, because I can't put my finger on anyone else who's remotely near. Just what the thoughts that are going through his head are so rapid and so vast that he can do something with them. He can build brands with them. He can make music with them. I don't know how he does what he does, but I feel like with him communicating to people, no matter if it's a interview on Ellen for 10 minutes and he rants, or it's 3 hours of ranting, I just don't think his method of communication is ever going to be the best to humans. I think his method of communication will always be most accurately represented in a product of some sort, whether that's a creative process in music or a shoe or a clothing line or whatever it is. And so I feel like the more people understand that, like, communicating to humans, as funny as it sounds, might not be the most accurate representation of what he's actually thinking and experiencing. His most accurate representation sometimes is through his music, through his religion, through his spirituality, or through his clothes and stuff like that. Because it's like, now that you've seen him for 3 hours, it's like, I think this is just who he is, and that's okay. I want to accept who he is, where he's at the same time understand that the way it manifests is very different than the way that he communicates to people.
True. That's a good point.
He does make a lot of his thoughts, like he plays it, like, I guess he brings them to reality. I mean, if you think about this guy, he wanted to make a shoe, and now he's got the biggest shoe ever.
Bro.
He's bigger than Michael Jordan in that aspect. But he's trying to go in like different different areas. He's trying to. I mean, obviously he's running for he's running for president.
Write him in.
Yeah,
God,
but
please don't.
Bro, even if you did, it wouldn't do anything.
But he wants to do things like, good things as far as like religion and church and all that stuff. Like he's making it cool to be a good person. Yeah. And that's pretty cool.
I feel like, he has taken a turn into, and again, it doesn't necessarily matter what you believe, but in his life, he's more so coming to a place of wanting to like serve people and allow his products and what he does to just bring hope and joy in life. And that's why I think he's strayed away from the cursing and strayed away from, the standard just trap rap music and whatever else is at least the place that he's in right now genuinely just wants to serve people. And I can appreciate that. Again, whatever people believe, appreciate that that's his focus right now.
Right.
Which again, can't knock. I mean, there's no real negative side to that. I feel like I was gonna say I could compare maybe one aspect of the communication to like someone like Elon Musk, where it's like look at the product, look at either the music or the impact or the financials or the whatever. Look at the people around him and how they're impacted, whatever it may be. But talk to a camera, talk to a host, talk to whatever it is. Elon Musk, we're so intrigued by him, and I feel like it's very similar to Kanye, where this interview will blow up just because we're so intrigued by who Kanye is as a person. Not necessarily that we question his products, but he's a good artist, he's an incredible producer, he makes great shoes and clothes and whatever else. But it's more like who in the world is this guy? Because we've just seen the snippets of him. Same thing kind of happens with Elon. Everyone loves, most people love Tesla, love SpaceX and whatever else. But we're just intrigued by the person. So that's maybe one similar connection of just a crazy mind, doesn't communicate to people well, but also makes a great product.
Yeah. He mentions Da Vinci. Do you guys know about the Da Vinci Code and all that stuff? Like,
I heard about the movie, but that's about
not at all.
Yeah, he just kind of I don't really know about it, but he kind of mentions him about how he's this person who has all these fascinating ideas and all these ideas that were just ahead of his time, but he couldn't communicate them very well. And now we're looking at them when we can actually process them, and they were just if they were implemented in his time, like where we would be right now would just be way ahead of where we're at right now. And the same thing with Tesla. He brings him up a couple of times to where everybody just downplayed all of his inventions and all his ideas. And if you would have taken his ideas and implemented them now, actually understood them, in the future, where we would be in the future would be a lot further if we didn't understand those things.
Yeah.
And I feel it's almost like the same thing with this guy, but who knows? We'll only know in the future when it doesn't work out and we finally understand what he's saying.
Well, it's kind of true though that the people with the biggest impact were people who were misunderstood.
Yeah, the outliers
during their time. Yeah, so it's almost like people don't really get their credit until they're already gone.
Right.
Which I mean, Elon Musk and Kanye West are both huge celebrities, so
they get plenty of credit now.
They have plenty of recognition, but I think it is a good comparison because they're both great. They both create great things, but they're, I think, poor communicators, and they know what they want to say. They're just not the best at saying it.
Yeah, Well, and that's also kind of they're actually friends. I think I'm pretty sure they hang out a little bit. It's kind of interesting because they're probably one of the few people that understand their stream of thought and how to dissect it and analyze it and put it into I know what you're saying. I understand that you could say one thing, other people would maybe just say one fact, and they would go through here's 10 different ways of looking at it and putting these pieces together. But even with Tesla or Kanye, they are, celebrated now. And obviously there's a lot of hype around Tesla and Yeezy and Adidas and all the stuff that's going on in Gap and whatever. But at the same time, we might not even now understand the impact of Elon Musk and Tesla until 30 years from now when every car is electric. Yeah. And then looking back and being like, Tesla was the one that really launched the hype around electricity and self-sustaining businesses and solar-powered mega, industrial complexes and stuff like that. And so I think as much as they're celebrated and there's some hype and trendiness around these brands, specifically Yeezy and Tesla are really great examples of that. I feel like we might not fully appreciate it until it's very well known, and they'll be the first to
Until
have
it's the norm,
created.
right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Flipping,
this guy's trying to get rid of shoelaces, by the way. So, hold on to your shoelaces that you can possibly sell in the future.
Every freaking kid that had their dad yell at them for not being able to tie their shoes and be like, "Damn, if I would just waited 5 years, I would have."
Right?
Yes.
Dude, speaking of that, this is really random, but there's a way to tie your shoelaces in like 1 second. You just like twist your fingers a certain way, grab this, grab that, boom.
Bro, I had a friend in high school. I don't know. It's probably might have been the same thing. A friend in high school would just tie his shoes in like a second. And he would slip them on and like pull one time, and they were done. I was like, "What the fuck did you just do?"
That is my new mission.
What did you just do?
I'm
Freaking wizard.
I'm gonna designate a full hour of my day, probably tomorrow, to just mastering that technique. Because if you think about it, look, even if you save 2 seconds, I have not done this math at all. Even if you save 2 seconds per shoe tie, multiply that by
How many times you put on your shoes in a day versus
Yes.
how many days are in the
how many
year?
days, how many
versus
years,
how many years you've been
I
alive?
think I probably end up saving about
30
30 hours.
Bro, like 10 minutes over your whole entire life. Bro, here's the reality.
It's like not worth it at all.
I probably, for
Alright,
a
let's
guy,
see.
have a lot of shoes. Like, I probably have 30 pairs, 40 pairs of shoes. Like, I have a pretty good amount of shoes. But even then, bro, I slip on 90% of those. Even the ones with laces. I slip on all that shit. And so I would probably save time only on the off chance that I wear my, not to circulate off what we're already doing, but my Yeezys or like some of my Jordans or something like that, where like the ones I don't want to mess up any creasing or anything like that. That's like one of my 30 pairs of shoes. I'd probably save about 3.5 minutes over my entire lifetime.
Well,
gotta be more
I
than
did the
that.
math. Did the math for you guys. So if you put on your shoes, if you're alive for 24 years and you put on your shoes 2 times a day, you would save, or without laces, you would save 584 hours. Which, I don't know how many hours in a week. How many hours in a week?
24 times 7.
168.
So I bust out my calculator.
168, pretty sure.
Yeah, 168. You're right.
That'd be 24 days, which would be about 1.738 weeks. What
Bro.
the fuck?
That's a whole vacation.
So you would save
bro.
a week of your life, bro. Imagine for just learning a better
What is-
technique.
Let's dive into this though. Let's go a little bit deeper. What are these stats based on? Like are people tying their shoes like stupid slow? Or
Well,
like,
I did if you spent 2 seconds on tying your shoes.
Okay.
I probably spent 3 to 4. So that's like 3 weeks, bro. Yo,
Boom.
that's a nice ass vacation.
Yo, I mean, I'm just saying, it's the little things sometimes.
Bro.
Imagine if we didn't have to brush our teeth either. That's 2 minutes. That's
Well,
4
I don't,
minutes
so it's
off
already
of
a-
our day.
I've probably already saved
Bro,
a month of my life.
Bro, you have added years to your life by just neglecting your freaking oral health.
I've added a month. I've added a month to my life in which I'll have no teeth.
Yes.
Bro, the dentures are worth it, bro.
True.
Yo, low-key, I just saw an ad the other day because of the algorithm, because it's, social dilemma, hashtag let's go. But I saw an ad the other day, let's go. I saw an ad the other day for like this mouth guard that just like washes your teeth. It has like a hose that comes out the front, and you just like put it in your mouth, and that shit just blasts your teeth with water, apparently, and like UV light or something like that.
Oh,
And it just like kills all the bacteria. I was like, hey, I'm about it.
it's like a bidet for your mouth.
Bro, I'm
Yes,
saying.
that's what I was thinking.
I love that.
It is literally a bidet for your mouth.
That's
Bro,
gonna be on our quote post.
this shit is a bidet for your mouth. Imagine if you just sat on the toilet, put that in your mouth. Imagine. Okay.
Dude, we're
Hold on,
literally
hold
gonna
on.
save
That
so
in
much
your
time.
mouth.
Hold on. I'm about to change your life right now. Imagine a toilet in your shower and that hose coming out the wall. You sit on the toilet with the shower, like think of a car wash where it soaps you down and then washes you all up, and then you put that shit in your mouth, and in like a minute, 90 seconds, every part of your body is washed, internally
Boom.
and externally.
internally too?
Bro, cavity clean.
Let's get it.
Whoa.
You literally wash your teeth, your asshole, and your whole body all at the same time.
What do we call this?
Bro, I have no clue.
I wanted you to attempt to come up with something.
Okay, let's see. The wizard wash. Magically clean every orifice. That's a dumbass explosion.
Hey, those were good effects, man. I like that.
That was nice.
That's the funk flex bomb. I just straight jacked it.
Bro.
I hope we don't get sued. One thing I wanted to bring up was Quibi. Did you guys ever
Quibi?
Did you guys ever use Quibi?
No, and that's probably why they are where they at.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, Quibi is basically a mobile-only Netflix. That's a good way to put it. So they basically created a bunch of their own original content, and it was meant to basically only be consumed on your phone. And that was their whole quote-unquote innovation, which to me is just very limiting. I think maybe they updated it to where you could stream it onto your TV and stuff. But the whole idea was that it was pretty much content that was filmed in a not a horizontal aspects ratio. It was like literally vertical for the purpose of being consumed on phones. And they paid a bunch of stars and actors to make their own original shows and series and all kinds of things. And they launched in 2020 and are shutting down in 2020. They raised nearly $2 billion in investment funds and everything. They made a bunch of series, a bunch of shows with a bunch of stars, and couldn't get people on their platform. So I think it just goes to show that I saw someone who had a really good idea that instead of paying like traditional movie stars and stuff, they should have just gone with like the top 100 internet creators currently. Yep. That would have actually gotten their fan bases to come over to Quibi. But I think they just went about a lot of things wrong. They had really good executive team, a lot of money, obviously, but it just didn't work in any sort of way for them.
Wasn't the other unique aspect of it that they were like a max of 10 minutes a show? Am I getting that right?
I want to say it was mostly shorter form content. Like
I know when they were advertising it, like, because part of their marketing campaign was just incredible. I saw ads everywhere.
Yeah.
These 10 minutes. I mean, it was all Liam Hemsworth and John Legend. And I mean, just crazy, like you said, a bunch of big actors, big musicians and stuff trying to put up shows and stuff. But I also think like people just go to YouTube, man. The fact that Google has monopolized YouTube and these creators are already there, you almost just need to tap into that market instead of trying to create your own. Because I just don't think people are going to get another app, pay for another service, even if it's 3 months free or something like that, to watch 10-minute good quality shows. Like even if you're trying to, I saw some ads for like dramas and like action films, and like those are huge budgets, but you're going to put it into 10 minutes. Like I think when I watch a 45-minute show or a 50-minute show, like we've been watching on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, if it's a good show, you want more. And it's kind of a weird concept to just specifically make it 10 minutes. You don't have enough time to develop a plot in that 10 minutes.
Yeah,
true.
And I guess I can't really speak to that too much because I didn't watch any of those 10-minute plots. Maybe you can get really creative and do something cool within those 10 minutes. But that to me is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it's very limited. Like their innovation was to limit, to kind of corner the market.
I think
trying to.
I think part of it is probably seeing what's happened with Vine, seeing what's happened with TikTok and Reels, and saying, okay, as everyone else on social media, people have a really short attention span, but it's like, we only have a short attention span if it's like quick, low quality shit. You're scrolling through photos, you're scrolling through a 10-minute, like kind of funny TikTok comedy bit, and you just like scroll through it. That's where our attention is short, when you've created algorithms to just give you more and more content and keep you wanting more. But when it comes to a hour 10 Game of Thrones episode or name any show that's good quality, it's like I would hate if it was 15 minutes of Game of Thrones. That would suck.
Right? I love those hour-long episodes, man.
That's just the sex scene, like, right?
That show, yeah.
Bro, that's just the orgy scene at the beginning. Like, you got to move past it. Like, you got to have a little bit more. We need some heads cut off. Let's go.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, what can you really, like, it's almost what can you do in 10, 15 minutes? Like if you were to make a show, like if you guys were to make a show.
Well, they were 15-minute or 10 to 15-minute episodes, so it was a longer series. But that's how they tried to keep their episodes shorter. So I feel like none of us actually tried Quibi. I actually did download it, and I just never ended up watching anything while I had the free trial. But so I don't really have an informed opinion. But regardless of whatever I think,
it sucks. Like
it's shutting down. So obviously, it's
like no one liked it. So.
Whether I tried it or not, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself, you know.
Yeah,
true that. Well,
market knows.
Yeah, they were the pioneers of the monopolizing Vine and TikTok, and didn't work out for them. So
shouts for trying.
I mean, what sucks is a lot of the times what you see is like someone tries something new like that, and it just kind of happens that they're too early.
Yeah,
you know. So I feel like maybe they were onto something with focusing on the mobile consumption aspect of things, but
yeah.
That's just not where we're at currently.
Here's
like when people go to TV, you know, they still prefer to watch TV series and stuff at least on their laptops or, you know, or their actual larger TV. I have rarely ever watched any long form, or I guess their content's not long form, but any television series on my phone. Only when I was like on an airplane or something.
I think I heard someone say, I know when like Reels, not even Reels, but like IGTV first became a thing, and it was only vertical video, and like you couldn't do anything horizontal. There's a lot of complaints where like we don't have vertical eyes. Like our eyes like work a certain way where it's like it's better for you, and that's why the technology produced has been like 9:16 ratios.
That's a good point.
Like it's like our eyes work a certain way where it's like not normal for you to look up and down that far. You have like a very normal plane of view based on our eyesight, and so like I think that they kind of missed the mark there in trying to create content that kind of flies in the face of like biology in a way. As opposed to like, I feel like there should be more, you know, if they're going to spend $2 billion or however much money on content, I'd rather than like spend that on like VR or AR or something like that, or you be able to experience stuff with a depth of perception and a depth of experience that's increased over just turn your phone this way, which not obviously not that many people are going to do, to the point that they had 3 months free, I think first, I'm pretty sure. And they still had to cancel it because not that many signed up for free.
You could tell when they got desperate when they started offering like longer and longer free trials.
Bro, so you get 3 months for free and people still aren't signing up just to try it. That's rough. Like that's pretty rough.
And like I said, I downloaded it because there was a 30-day free trial at the time or something.
Still didn't.
And even then, I just didn't end up using it. There was no. And I think what really hurt them was that they didn't have a breakout series that got a ton of attention. Like sometimes that's all it takes. Like, you know, with HBO, when Game of Thrones really started popping off, it gave all their other shows recognition after that, and it made people sign up to HBO and see what else they had to offer. So if Quibi would have had like a breakout show that was a huge success, I think really that would have been all it would have taken to get the ball rolling. But I don't think they had that and they made a lot of different series, and it's like none of them stuck. You know, they had Kevin Hart on there. They had Emmy-winning actors and actresses. They had all kinds of people on there. Didn't work.
Did they have their actual shows on there, or they were just they were helping with the advertisement?
No, they had like original shows and content that they created specifically for Quibi.
Damn.
Yeah, that's why
I think
still couldn't pull it off, man.
That might have been part of the mistake, is in a world where there's so many platforms, like even who makes The Office? What's the studio? Is it ABC or
that was
NBC?
NBC originally.
NBC?
Yeah.
And so starting in January, The Office is going to be off of Netflix, which is a massive, massive deal because NBC is starting their own platform where The Office will be solely on, which is I think is a super dumb decision. But for them, they want the money and whatever. People will move that way. But I feel like that one of the mistakes that I call it Quibi. We're gonna call it Quibi.
Please don't say Quibi.
It's like Queefy. We'll call it Quibi. I think one of the mistakes. Was that supposed to be a queef? Like,
I don't know. I thought it sounded cool.
What's that? Oh, so you gotta get that checked out, man.
Bro, you got some airflow down there. All right,
Relax.
bro, it's still going right now. But I think one of the mistakes they did was separate themselves so much from the rest of the industry instead of like tying themselves into another network or tying themselves into what these actors are already a part of. They just like, here we are on our own, 10, 15-minute episodes, all our own shows. Like what Netflix did well is they had shows from all over the place. You know, and then they had their original content. So you'd go there and you'd watch Friends, which obviously wasn't made by Netflix. And you'd watch Friends in The Office and Parks and Rec and all these different, you know, shows on there. And then now they started putting out You and Away and I don't know, however many hundreds of different shows are on there now. And you'd watch all of the content. Now they're making billions of dollars because they obviously have the financial status to be able to create great quality shows now their own. And we're now more and more watching Netflix originals. And I remember when Netflix originals was like a rare thing. We're like, oh, Netflix produced a show. That's pretty crazy. And now it's very, very normal. I think the problem that Quibi had is they just, I keep calling it Quibi. We're going to call it Quibi.
It's fine, Quibi.
We'll call it Quibi, bro. I'm from Atkins. I grew up in the country. So like, we'll call it Quibi. I don't even know if the people can hear that.
I feel like Charlie Sloth, bro, the guy who hosts those Fire in the Booth. He's just spamming the explosion button the whole time.
He's like, we got Drake in the booth. We're gonna rock it.
Yes.
It's just.
Except it doesn't. It's a more annoying explosion than this one. It's
more, bro, because it's like glass shattering.
Yeah, it's like glass.
It's like, bro. But, you know, like, they didn't connect with anything and bring any original, any content from any other, either surface or, like you said, like, content creators. Like, if all of a sudden King Bach was like, all my YouTube stuff's now only on Quibi, then, or, you know, kind of like what Joe Rogan did, something where they tie in other industries and say, oh, now there's an incentive, let's say, of 50,000 people, even 100,000 people to get on the service to watch content from somewhere else. That's where you're going to win. That's where Spotify is going to win with Joe Rogan. Because now, me, who wants to keep watching Joe Rogan, I'm going to get Spotify either for free or paid to, you know, keep consuming that content. And Quibi just went on their own and said, hey, I hope you like this actor because they're only on this program. And I just don't think that it's like not even that A-list. It's like Liam Hemsworth, who's like, girls like him because he's a good looking guy, but he's not an A-list celebrity, you know? So I just don't think they did enough to. I think they spent their money
and plus, yeah, I agree. And what I mentioned earlier about instead of getting the top 100 celebrities and movie stars, get the top 100 creators because their fans are used to seeing their content on a variety of platforms. You know, like Kevin Hart will get you to go to the theater and rent a movie on your TV at night, but these other YouTube creators their fans are used to seeing them on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on all the platforms. So they wouldn't mind downloading another app if you have an original series on there. You know what I'm saying? So that would have been the smarter move.
Here's the thing too, with online creators, whether it's TikTok, which is hot right now, or Reels or whatever, you know, or Instagram, YouTube, obviously, which is huge, is people are used to seeing them multiple times per week with fresh content. And the struggle with getting actors, like you could get George freaking Clooney on Quibi and it wouldn't matter. You could get, you know, name your favorite big time A-list celebrity actor on Quibi and it wouldn't matter because you see these people 2 times a year on a unique movie.
Yep.
You see them but you get, I don't know, King Bach, Logan Paul, whoever on a Quibi thing, and they're constantly pushing out content every week.
Dobrik.
Like, hey, David Dobrik, you know, any of these people, and there's a couple other
Addison Rae, some of the TikTok stars.
Exactly, bro. You put some of these people on there. Say,
I'd be downloading Quibi.
3 months, 4 months, give me all the months free. Premium membership.
Shit, how much for the year, baby? I'll get the annual fee.
I'm gonna swipe the card on that shit, bro. That's what I'm saying.
How old is Addison
Who is
Rae?
that anyway? I'm not sure who that is, but
before we edit,
nah, she's for sure like 20 or something.
Let me look her up.
But that's what I'm saying, man. Is you've
she's 20. She's 20. We're good.
Okay. I'm weak, bro. I'm so weak.
All right,
You know what I'm saying?
cool.
People are used to seeing more and more still good quality production from them every. I mean, there's even fitness guys that I follow that are, you know, big, at least in the fitness field, that pay videographers to do good cinematic edits for them and stuff like that. Like, people go to them for that content week in and week out, sometimes every day of the week. And then you're going to go onto a platform and say, like, here's a movie we worked on all year for this 15-minute clip or whatever, or show that we've worked on these, you know, 10, 15-minute clips for. You're just not going to get it, man. Like, people are used, I think now more so than a short attention span, people are used to consistent stimulation from this content, man. They're not looking for the greatest. I think that's why The Mandalorian has done so well on like Disney Plus and like some of these like shows based off of movies and stuff that are coming out, is people want to see more content more often, more stimulation, more, you know, all that stuff. And so it's like, I think it's just the wrong move, man. They went about it wrong when they could have done something pretty crazy.
I think more of the story is they took like a very traditional approach to a new platform instead of kind of keeping up like with the times.
Yeah.
More
I got two things. So one, I think they should have looked at Tidal's plan and kind of saw like, hey, you know what, because I mean that's pretty much what Tidal tried to do, is they tried to get everybody, they tried to make it exclusive, make their own platform, and it didn't really work out for them. So kind of following their plan, you could see, you know, people don't really want that. And then my other thing was, it's really who's the DJ that always does the
Charlie Sloth.
It's really weird, but
is that his last name? Hold on.
Anyway, that guy is like the European version of he's a European version of all the DJs we see here. But it doesn't align with me that he's like an older person. He's very light complected, but he's like down with the times. Like he's down with all like the rap music and all the artists and stuff like that.
Even more so with Tim Westwood, man. That guy was
that's who I'm thinking about. Tim Westwood.
He always looked out of place, right?
Yes, he looks out of place, but he's so down.
That man looked like he needed to be in like a old school jazz radio station, not doing legendary Eminem freestyles.
Bro, he's like the guy on like Parks and Rec, where he's like, "Here's thoughts for your thoughts."
Yes,
we got jazz on top of jazz. Here we go.
YouTube.com/Tim Westwood TV.
And then he's got freaking Eminem freestyling for 30 minutes in the background. Like, what? What is this guy?
He's bringing that hate to us today.
Good morning, folks of Westwood.
We got Drizzy Drake in the booth today.
Bro, that man probably couldn't name any songs from half of the artists that were in there.
That's a riot, bro.
I like that guy, though.
That's a riot. It's a good man. Good man.
No, yeah, I mean, he brought us some legendary content, man. Possibly, I mean, I just have to say this because possibly my favorite Tim Westwood freestyle is the Migos freestyle. Those three guys are in there and they freestyle for a good 20 minutes and they're just like ad-libbing each other. They do like 2 lines each and then someone else comes in and says 2 lines and someone else comes in and says 2 lines. It's the funniest freestyle I've ever seen, but it also bumps. And I as a high schooler, I memorized it. I'm just going to throw that out there.
You know what I'm here for right now is like for a long time, and I'm sure I'll go through phases, and I'm sure people will go through phases, but I'm here for the comedy and hip hop lately. Yeah. Like, I feel like for like a long time, and again, like you look at 2010 to 2012 or 2009 to 2012, it's all very serious grind, hot, like everyone's, you know, kind of coming up. And so that's where a lot of like the really good, like legendary hip hop happened. I feel like right in that era. I mean, that was, you know, Kanye's come up, Drake's come up, Eminem's come up, all around that time was their best stuff. But like now with like DaBaby and Migos and like some of this stuff, bro, they're straight comedians. Like they know what they're doing. Like some of these people are just, they're freaking funny.
Dude, Kodak Black is
so fucking hilarious, bro. DaBaby, like I've seen some interviews with him. I'm like, dude, you are a brilliant, like you are a stand-up comic who happens to do music. And your music bops too. You got great producers, but like I'm here for it because, bro, sometimes I listen to these lyrics and I'm like, bro, that's fun. That's a punchline. Like that. That's funny music.
Do y'all remember that? Have y'all seen the XXL freshman freestyle session where
Absolutely.
21 Savage, Lil Uzi Vert, Kodak Black, and somebody else. I can't remember who it was, like Denzel Curry or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they all do their flows, whatever, and then the last one who's up is Kodak Black, and he's all, whoa, put on this old sorry-ass beat, and he just looks like right at the DJ.
And they show DJ Drama, he's just like, he's still...
And everybody in the back is just like cracking up, man. It's so hilarious.
Up into his own beat. He's like, I think it was all right, but like, I guess I should switch it. Like,
what's funny is that what's funny is that it almost, you have to stand out in some sort of way. You have to be different.
Yeah.
To become, well, you don't have to. I mean, if you make some fire ass music, then that's all you really need. But a lot of these guys, they make like some decent songs, but what really draws you to them is their personalities, the way they look, 100%. The way they dress. I mean, Kodak did like his Breakfast Club interviews with like a full-on ski mask on, like he was about to rob the place. Like,
yeah.
And then they brought him. I remember they brought him back for a second interview, and they all wore ski masks. All the hosts. It was hilarious.
I mean, let's bring up someone like Tekashi 6ix9ine, bro. He's nothing without his rhetoric and without his look. Nothing. The guy's not that great of an artist. He's not that great of a freaking rapper or anything like that. Right? He is a character. And I didn't think you could probably say that about a lot of people who are popping right now, especially a lot of the guys that came up from SoundCloud, stuff like that. They're characters, and people like to see characters. And some people that will get famous strictly off of their music and their talent. I think Drake is a testament to that. Someone like Kanye or Eminem, a lot of these guys, they're a testament of like longevity, where for, let's say, about 10 years at least, their music has been at least fairly good, to superstardom. But someone like, Tekashi or some of these other guys, like even someone I would say like probably like Cardi B, where like they're such characters that people just love to see them, love to hear the interviews. Like there's so much hype beyond the music that's like, you're gonna listen. I mean, I think we've talked about before, like Tekashi, his songs will pop off and then fall off like crazy. You listen to it once, you never listen to it again, and he's mad that he's sitting at the number one all the time. But the reality is you listen to the music once and you watch all the interviews that surround it, and that's where a lot of the hype is. And so you see a lot of these characters, man, but music doesn't hold a candle to some of the real talented stuff.
It doesn't what? Hold a candle?
To like the real talented stuff, like the people that are like excellent, like Eminem, who's an excellent lyricist. Like maybe he hasn't stayed with the time as much as some other artists have, but like you can't hold Tekashi to Eminem, or a lot of these people to like Drake as an artist and his versatility and like stuff like that. Like it doesn't hold a candle. They're not as talented, but they have a character that is good on camera. It's good in an interview, and I mean, not even to bring this up, but you'll see that in politics. I mean, you see it in a lot of different areas. You got people that are, they're characters. They're characters. You want to see what surrounds what's actually happening, not necessarily what's happening.
True that. I didn't understand what holding a candle to somebody meant.
Just straight to the ass. Like a candle to the ass.
At the end of the day, though,
that country slang, man.
What is that? I don't really hold a candle to the real folks. Bro, I don't even know if the people can hear that because it's like gated out by us laughing.
I know. If you ever hear sound effects, stop making noise so people can hear it. Nah, but it's true though. I feel like what they are is entertainers. Like 6ix9ine has to consider himself an entertainer before a rapper because the man is trash at rapping. But he's a great entertainer. And I honestly, at this point, I feel like it's the same story with Kanye West. He was a great musician, sometimes still is, in my opinion. His albums got worse and worse. Yeah. But he has remained relevant by being a great entertainer in other aspects, and so when you know how to entertain beyond your main craft, I think that's pretty special.
Yeah. And I'll give Kanye some slack too, because what made him such a great artist in the way that he was around to, able to phrase things around what he was passionate about at the time, being women and money and whatever, like the life that he was living was very specific. Now that he doesn't have any of that because he's found religion and found all these other things, and his like mission is kind of changed, I kind of give him some slack because within his own lane, he probably feels held back to communicate about any of these other things. And so what really drove his music in, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy doesn't drive his music now in Jesus is Lord. It's obviously a very different context. And so he's not able to use a lot of the same, punchlines and the same rhetoric and stuff. And so I feel like I don't even know if he wants to be the same kind of entertainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
In some sense.
You hear that? You kind of hear that a lot. Is that how many artists make the same album over and over and over again? Like it just becomes different. I remember Jay-Z was like, everybody's always telling me, what happened to the Blueprint, Jay-Z? What happened to the Blue? He's like, dude, go listen to the Blueprint if that's what you want to hear. Like he's not going to make the same thing over and over again.
That's true.
But I don't know if I'd want to hear. Oh, actually, there are some albums from other people that I'm like, man, you just make another one of these songs exactly like, not exactly like this, but the same context or the same style. And oh my God, it would slap so hard. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't really want that.
It's a weird struggle as a fan because they're making and doing what they want to be doing, but it could be so much better just based off. I think of someone like Kid Cudi. Man on the Moon 1 and 2, I mean,
yes.
damn, classics,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And he put out a lot of albums after that just didn't quite cut it. And I think he's actually teasing that the trilogy is going to continue. So I think he might put out a Man on the Moon 3. But even then, it's been so many years that it's risky almost. But at least he'll have to, just by calling it that, he'll have to kind of go back and attempt to emulate that same vibe and which is exciting. But I think, people fall in love with a certain artist and expect them to not evolve, which is just unrealistic.
I feel bad for Kid Cudi because I don't think he's going to be able to bring that kind of Man on the Moon 1 and 2. Like, he was just in a different headspace. He was depressed.
Literally,
he
though.
was on drugs.
He was also he was on a lot of drugs, yeah.
He was on a lot of drugs. I mean, I feel like that's the same way with, like, Eminem.
I'm like, literally.
Literally, like, his brain hit different back then. Like,
I mean, that's what all these, like, crazy genius type artists are, like, they're not in the same mindset as we are. Like, they're not thinking sanely. They're thinking somewhere totally different. So, like, Kid Cudi, like, he was depressed, on drugs. Eminem, like, he was an angry person on drugs. All these different artists, when they made their, like, top, music hits, they wanted to go somewhere, and they made that music, and that made them able to go where they wanted to go, and now they don't have to be in that headspace anymore. So it's like, you want that same music? Because, oh my gosh.
Bro,
I think it was like Man on the Moon 2 that he kind of had that little video to go along with his album. And dude, that kind of like put me in a different headspace just watching that to know where he was.
Yeah.
And I can't do that again with something else if he's not in that same spot.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard.
I feel like it's kind of the curse of content creation, where and you see this a lot with a lot of TV shows, where you can't really win, where like you have a TV show and it does really, really well and it's amazing, and then they create something, the story takes a wild turn in the next season. Half the people are like, oh, what? This doesn't even feel like the same show at all. And the other half of people are like, or let's say they create something that's very similar to the first season, and they're like, this feels exactly the same as the first season. It looks and sounds the same. Nothing's really changed that much. I wonder if it's kind of y'all can tell me what you think. If it's the same kind of curse with music, where it's like, if Drake were to create another album, just like, some of his old albums, would half the people be like, oh, I've kind of heard this before. I feel like he's not innovating. He's kind of doing the same thing he's done before. And the other half of people, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the curse is, for one, we don't accept the growth in people and how that manifests in a creative process. Kanye's music's going to change because he's changed. Cudi's music's going to change because he's changed. He's in, like you said, he's in a different spot. So why would his music sound the same if it's not coming from the same angst? It's not coming from the same life pain or whatever it may be. And I've kind of had to walk through that in my own music too, and be like, I don't want to try to recreate Distorted. Like, how do I just like keep moving and create singles that are just one at a time, where I'm at, what I'm feeling, and what I feel is a good idea. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's almost like the curse of creating content, of just like, you won't please everyone. If you create something new and innovative, people will be like, oh, this doesn't even feel like you. And if you create something the same, people will be like, oh, this just sounds like all your other stuff. And I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah.
True that.
You
True that,
definitely
buddy.
you definitely see that with somebody like the Baby, and even further back like Ludacris.
For
They
sure.
they only have like one flow, dude, and it's kind of
Yep.
starting to bite them in the ass because like after a while you can only get so much. You can only get so much of that. So
Yeah.
it works on both sides. Like an artist evolves, and maybe you don't like it like their old stuff, but at least they're capable of evolving. You know, like
Yeah.
Drake has evolved into literally 8 different artists.
Yeah.
There's Caribbean Drake, there's Jamaican Drake, there's like all kinds of Drakes.
Yes.
UK Drake. And
There's UK Drake, and what's
Hey,
lucky
hasn't
for
he-
him is that they all
Hasn't
kind of
he
work.
just-
Huh?
Hasn't he just gone to Middle Eastern Drake?
Oh, he's talking about Habibi,
Habibi.
mentioning all these names and shit. Like, dude,
Hey,
that
that
man
was-
has
French, we
visited,
got French Drake. And
he's visited every country. Yeah, he said Je t'aime in a song. Like, he's doing all kinds of stuff.
my guy says je t'aime. I think
He
is,
said
is
je
that what says je
He
t'aime
said
and
Je
shit,
t'aime.
bro, like that's the pinnacle of his career. The guy's freaking gone platinum 1,000 times, and we're like, yeah, shit says je t'aime. Like, guys made it. But I think,
Well,
I
works,
think that's
but
what
it's
kinda-
crazy though because it works for him, and like
it does.
that's what has solidified his place in music. Other artists cannot do that, dude.
And I think
that's-
that is where the field separates as far as the most versatile. I'm not even talking about, and we've talked about this before, the best in a field. I'm not saying Drake's the best rapper or the best lyricist or best anything. But as far as the most versatile artist, I think there's something to be said there. Where like, dude, I don't want Eminem rapping in French. Like, I don't want, bro, I don't want Eminem, like singing an R&B freaking soul ballad.
Yeah.
I would slap him with a fish. Like, bro, I don't like, I don't need you doing that. And so you can still have like the best in a lane. I don't need you.
I was just saying this the other day. Like Eminem was so mad all the time. Like he would be like, "I fucking love you, Haley." Like so soft moment.
Haley, I'll give you the world, Haley. Freaking sounds like freaking Rick from Rick and Morty all the time.
Dude, Eminem was a crazy dude.
Yeah.
Like I remember, so he dropped. I want to say it was his first album called Infinity, and this is in like '96. This is early. I mean, I was just being born when this album dropped, and
Bro.
he has a song called Kim on there, and Kim was his wife. The whole song is about him killing Kim,
Yes, it's so
like
weird.
locking, like straight up locking Kim in his trunk and driving off a bridge. That's what it's about. And somehow
Yeah.
we let this man become one of the best rappers of all time. Like,
Yo, we just let it slide.
yeah,
He did not afraid. So like, we can't really.
and to his credit, Kim's still alive, so he never did it. But
okay,
just the fact that
Yeah.
I mean, he was so outside of the box from the very jump, but it just worked. Like it goes back to
Bro.
show like we like people who are different.
bro, it's that battle rap shit too, where it's like, I'll kill your motherfucker, and like it's like whatever, and it's like, ha, like, oh, Jesus, it's like, oh god, like really, did he just say that? Like you're like, bro, you're not allowed to say those things, but like I think that's like obviously him at his. Bro, I didn't say then. Like, okay, like separate, like separate those things out. But you know, like I think that's like obviously that's true to who he is at the time. And honestly, I'll even say this: I think where Eminem has failed is this. I could be wrong about this. I don't even mind being wrong about this. Is the fact that he's almost tried to innovate too much. Anyway, like I almost feel like Eminem needs to just be Eminem and do his shit instead of like trying to like battle with like MGK and trying to like call people out now. And I don't know, like I feel like he's like trying to come into this social media world and like, I don't know, integrate himself too much where it's like, dude, I just want you to, you know, be angry. And he might not be. He's worth freaking billions of dollars or whatever. Like he's done his shit. He's probably not that angry at his life right now. But like I almost feel like he's so good uniquely as the lyricist that he is in his lane, that veering outside of that is a little bit dangerous for him as an artist, where someone like Drake, who's not like the pinnacle of any of those things,
Right.
can do everything very well and can be versatile and make hundreds of millions of dollars and not blink an eye. I feel like Eminem, people are like, boo, Eminem. You try to be too poppy. You try to be too whatever. You're too soft. You're too like, people just want Eminem to hop on and say, fuck you. It's like, that's really all they want from him.
Yeah.
The fact that he's not doing that, I think, has been a suffrage to his music.
Yeah, it's true.
True that.
I mean, Eminem only had one style, from the start. And the difference with
Yelling.
Drake, the difference with Drake is that he was diverse from the beginning. So he can literally start speaking French now, and people are like, okay, kind of weird, but like it's
Not
too
surprised.
big. It's nobody's
Yeah.
surprised by it because he just does it so often. And I think that was so. I don't even know if he did it intentionally, but it definitely worked out in his favor because he's able to experiment basically however he wants, as long as
Bro.
and he has a very good ear to know, what will the people. I think he's very in tune with internet culture and everything in general to know what people will enjoy hearing and whether this will work or that will work.
He made me like Marvin's Room, and that wasn't it wasn't a rappy type song. It was kind of like a slow R&B song, but
In Your Feelings
that
song,
shit, it was hard, man. It got me in my feelings. All his love songs too.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
sometimes I listen to him and I'm like, I just want to go to a breakup. I just want to go through a breakup as well. Like,
I want to be in this spot.
Bro. Is that why like probably songs like Forever with like they had all these guys on it, why they slap so much is because you see each of these people completely in their element. I mean, you got Drake singing, you got him singing that hook, and it's like smooth and mellow. You've got Lil Wayne come in and do his shit, and then you have Eminem come in at the end, being Eminem, complete beat switch to the more acoustic kind of sound that fits Eminem, and you see him shine in their element, and the song pops like ridiculous. Huge,
I
huge
know.
song.
I know
And-
why
and
it popped. There's only one reason why it popped. In all of his songs that he does this, they just go platinum because he goes like this. He goes, last name ever, first name, whatever the hell he does. But
Bro,
he does that thing with his
Sprite
lip,
commercials.
and he starts, like that Sprite commercial.
This. Yeah.
Yes.
Last name ever.
What is it?
Sexy.
What is it? I can't.
First
First
name
name greatest. But yeah, he's got that
Like a
lip
sprained
going at it.
ankle, boy. I ain't nothing to play with. Started off local.
But thanks to all the haters, I know G4 pilots on a first name basis. Bro,
Oh.
see that song? You got people in their element, bro, and they shine, but it's like, just imagine for a second Eminem trying to do Marvin's Room.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
He doesn't have that type of diverse. Well, first
I
of
know
all,
what it would be.
Drake can hold the tune.
you, baby.
No, it would
Drake-
be like this. Oh,
Drake can
go ahead.
Drake can sing, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like the man is,
100%.
he's not the best singer, but he can hold a tune and he can come up with melodies.
Yep.
And that's something that most rappers can't do. So
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got a nice
you know,
voice.
he solidified that from the jump.
I would let him talk me to sleep. Have a nice little lullaby,
He,
put me
he
to
could
sleep.
be on the call map.
I was
Sure.
about to
That's
say,
true.
why is Drake not on the comment like, hey, girl, like,
I feel like he would piss a lot
to
of
sleep.
Dude, Drake has a lot of haters, man. People love to hate Drake.
Bro,
I
they
think
still making
even
money.
even if he was on the call map, it would trigger me for some reason. Like his voice,
For
like I love his music, but something about the man speaking like in interviews and stuff just doesn't sit right with me. Like,
You're like, damn, I got a great night's sleep after that. I hate him.
Why is he so good at everything?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I think that Eminem would make a Marvin's Room, but it would be called Kim's Room, and I think the whole song would just be about how he would torture her, how he would bury her body,
Bro,
who he would get to
Like how-
help him.
Nah, he hates Trump, so it would be called the Donald's Room, probably.
the Donald's room, bro.
Room.
And like, how does he do that too? Where like on a Love the Way You Lie, where like you have like this like super like sweet sounding like, is it Rihanna, right? Like sweet
Yeah.
sounding like chorus, just wanna stand there, and he's like, I'm tired to the bed to set the house on fire. Like it's freaking like, oh shit, bro. Like you made it sound like such a sweet song. It's all passionate, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking murder her and burn her and bury her.
Yeah,
Like, oh fuck.
that man's crazy. Dude.
Damn.
Yo, he's wildin'.
I hope he's calmed down in his later years.
Yeah, he's just trying to freaking like call
He did
out
do a-
teenagers and stuff.
Nah, he did do an interview with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson has a podcast of all people. In case anybody didn't know that. Who does?
2020.
Who
This is what
doesn't,
COVID
right?
did. This is what COVID did to people, bro.
Yeah, everyone has a podcast at this point. But he did do that with Mike Tyson, and he is definitely chilled out. He's
Yeah.
in his early. I mean, he's got to be nearing 50 at least, right?
I was gonna say he's like mid 40s at least.
But yeah, he's chilled out. He's capable of having chill conversations. So hopefully,
Yeah.
as he ages, he's calmed down and.
I wonder
Well, bro,
if
like
I wonder if he like normally he's the way he is on the podcast, but he kind of has that the way he wants to express himself in the music is that character Eminem, but in real life he's actually that calm person, you know? He doesn't really have that confidence to bring out that Eminem in real life.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what people usually do with their music, right? Like they take themselves to a place to be able to express, maybe like
outlet, like
like it's an outlet for them to be able to kind of get things off their chest and vent and put themselves in sometimes those dark places, sometimes happy places, you know, whatever it is. You know, it's not necessarily a good. It makes me think of Billie Eilish. She has a song called "Listen Before I Go," which is basically about suicide. Like, it's a pretty like dark song, and it like makes you sad if you actually pay attention to the lyrics. And she, obviously, a lot of her fans had a lot of questions because they were kind of concerned about that song. And she said it's not necessarily how I feel or like my story, but it's me putting myself in that place to be able to create this song, you know, like maybe putting herself in the darkest place of her mind to be able to make this song. So I assume that's kind of a universal thing with artists. I know Eminem probably didn't actually intend to kill his wife, but like he was playing into
he wanted to.
Yes, basically like he was playing into the thoughts. He was playing into the thoughts and playing it out, and he made a song out of it. But I think you're able to express yourself like that with music, you know?
I can totally, I mean, obviously, just as a small local artist, I can totally relate to that in like writing songs that aren't necessarily...
What do you mean small? You're the biggest artist in San Antonio.
I'm low-key probably the biggest thing to come out of 210 in a minute.
Come on.
Bro, you're the biggest thing since AJ Hearns.
Get that explosion, bro.
Bro, I'm the biggest thing since fucking Thomas J. Henry to come out of
sliced bread, buddy. Thomas J. Henry, boy.
Bro, you're bigger than Jim Adler.
Bro, the Texas Hammer. Bro, imagine if Jim Adler had a verse on an Eminem song. It would just like fit so perfectly.
Oh, dude.
You hate your wife, I'll hammer her.
This man.
No, but I was gonna say, as far as like being able to relate and communicate about experiences that you know other people have had and put them in your own music, I think is important as an artist to do. Like in my life, I'm obviously limited in my expression as to what I've experienced, the kind of heartbreak, the kind of pain, the kind of joy, the kind of whatever. And so I think for me, like I've had songs. Obviously, I've been married for 3.5 years now. That I like last year released songs about breakup or about heartache. Well, I'm not experiencing that right now. But I can still understand that someone else will listen to this song and be able to relate to it in a way where it speaks to them, gives them some hope, or even just some relatability at some level that I think can still be powerful as an artist. So I'm sure Eminem, Drake, you know, any of these guys do that to the point where like, actually I was even hearing, there was an interview recently with 21 Savage. I can't remember if it was like 99 or I don't know. I don't even remember who was interviewing him, but he was talking about the fact he's like, dude, I'm not a gangster. Like I'm a freaking like businessman over here, like chill, paying taxes, like just making music. When I rap about stuff, like that's a character, and I'm talking about maybe some past experience, but also just like what I know other people want to hear and want to, and maybe they've experienced it. But dude, this isn't my life. This isn't my life right now. Like I'm not freaking walking around with a Glock. I'm not freaking doing any of this stuff. Like this is like that's not who I am. So I think a lot of artists we have to understand, like we've talked about. At some level, maybe some more than others, but our characters, you know, you're actors. You're putting on, you know, an experience for people to listen to. It's not necessarily all your reality.
Yeah, that's true. I've got 2 thoughts on that, man. One, that could be pretty dangerous if you're like talking about doing something with some other girl and you're just, you know, you're playing into your character, you're just making a song, and then and your wife's like, what the hell, bro? That's not me. We didn't do any of that stuff.
It's Stacy.
Yes.
I've always thought about that, dude. Like how there's so many rappers who are like married, and then the things they rap about, like what do their wives think when they hear these lines? Like, do they tell them in advance, like, "Hey, I'm just writing fiction"? Like,
bro, you just hope that it is. You're like, "Hey, I'm about to write about a Rebecca, but I just want to like let you know I don't know any Rebeccas. I ain't touched no Rebeccas ever." Like,
Rebecca was from before I met you, you know.
But you know that your wife at that point is googling every like your name plus Rebecca to see see if there's ever any connection between
Right.
anyone from America, like cross-reference, FBI.
Yeah. It's I've always thought like I think even from like a young age, like I've always thought that's always crossed my mind. Like how do people date these guys when they rap about this stuff like on a regular basis and stuff? Like how can there ever be like any trust? You know what I mean? But
True.
It's hilarious.
it is true though that we expect musicians to not be able to write fiction based. That's basically what it is sometimes. When it comes to like writing a book or a story, we have no problem with fiction being written.
Mhm.
Like music is just another expression.
Yeah.
You know, another way to express your creativity. A lot of music that you hear, you should probably take with a grain of salt because
Sure.
at the end of the day, these
True.
people are just writing, you know, like they would
Yeah.
write a book or whatever it is.
Storytellers.
There's my other thought was, I don't know if you guys have seen those Genius, the lyric company or the lyric thing is called Genius, but they do interviews with people about their lyrics and stuff. And there's one where I don't know who the artist is, but he's like,
Little Tecca.
just hopped off the jet, just hopped in the Ferrari. He's like, I don't have a license. I don't know how to drive. Something like
It's Lil
that.
Tecca, dude. Lil Tecca.
yeah.
He goes like, I've never been out of the country or something like.
He goes, I don't even know how to drive.
Yes.
Bro.
Those are
I wonder,
hilarious.
like, I just, you bringing that up now reminds me of, like, even Forever, where, like, Drake is talking about, like, I don't know, is it, like, G5 or G4 pilots on a first-name basis or whatever. It's like, he was still kind of coming up at that point. Like, he'd popped off, but it's not like he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars yet. Like, that's kind of crazy. Probably wasn't doing all that much just yet. like a lot of the things that these people get their like initial like bonus check from these labels and stuff, and they get their $1 million or something and buy a couple chains, buy some cars or whatever. And then they're like, oh yeah, I got the chains and the cars. I'm like, bro, you've like had one hit song that popped off. Like you're really not like living that life yet. Like you bought a few things.
Like how much money did you get from that? God.
like geez, like you just named 6 things. Like your Patek I know is worth $750,000. Like I'm pretty sure you didn't make that much yet. Like
Yeah.
All right, I
go.
want y'all to listen to this, man. I pulled up the clip, Lil Tecca, on his Genius interview where he analyzes the lyrics.
Yes.
You got a man, know what I do to your mans. No, I ain't shooting the hands. Took an airline, took one again. Crashed a Rari, so I hopped in the Benz. I don't even drive. Oh my God.
He says, I don't even know how to drive.
I don't even know how to drive.
And then it just switches to the next lyric. That's literally all he says about that.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious, dude. I love
Bro,
that.
that's
guy.
funny. Bro, like imagine though, like obviously you have to be at some level to even be able to have a semi-believable lyric about this stuff. But like imagine me, like local personal trainer, you know, like pushing musician, trying to get some shit out there. And I was like, got the chains, got the diamond on my wrist, gotta like starting putting out lyrics that people are like, my family's like, bro, I know you. Like you're still trying to figure out taxes. Like like, bro, you need to get a CPA before you buy your like wrist out like that.
Yeah, like my rap music, if they were real, it'd probably be like just mowed the grass, right?
Yeah.
Just did my taxes, just washed the dishes.
And I
some
think
dumb
that's where it
shit.
mostly comes from. Is like you have to make shit up to a certain extent. Like you know, you only
100%.
have so much going on in your life. You might as well glorify it a little bit to
100%.
make the song more exciting. But yeah, it is funny for sure.
Well, and that's when you hear about some of these artists that like rented Lamborghinis for their videos, and like sat in front of someone else's private jet to like pop up, but then their songs pop. It's like, you know, fake it till you make it. Their songs pop off, then they do get $1 million. And
Yeah,
then
they actually can't buy one
afford
now,
it, right? And it's like, but you see a lot of that. We're like, hey, this is actually not real.
Well,
Easy, bro.
that's what it is. That's what it is. By the way, Mike Tyson, I've heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I've heard a few clips on his podcast. I guess when he was first starting, you know, heavyweight champ and doing all his, you know, in the dark place where he was at, and then coming to where he is now, like he's just a totally different person. Like even still looking at him, I'm like scared to look at him even through the video. Like I can't look at him straight in the eye because
Just knowing how he used to knock people out, right?
Oof.
Yes, he's a killer, man. He is
Animal,
just
man.
a straight up killer. But yeah, he's pretty he's pretty intelligent and pretty in tune with like his emotions, and he's like, you know, talking about the things he used to do. He was just like, I was, you know, I was at a hurt place at this point because of this,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I was doing this to cope with this. Like he's in tune with himself, and it's so crazy to think that somebody that savage can be emotional, and he just opens up and he's like, I cried because of this, and you're like, whoa, you're supposed to be this quote unquote alpha dude. And you're telling us about all the hardships and the losses and what you went through with the losses. And he's just I like listening to him because he's been in that place and he's come out of it and he's a different person.
I wonder if, as a fighter at the level that he was, having to be so incredibly technical, and I guess he was savage, but so incredibly technical and so analytical that in a fight, it manifests itself as, as a fighter, as an animal, as a savage, you're crazy, right? But when you step back for that for a minute and you still have that analytical, you still have that ability to kind of dissect things in your life. Now it's not put towards another human being in a fight. It's just kind of turned to you and your family and your businesses and whatever. I wonder if that's what's kind of manifested there, is the fact that he's like, hey, I'm not fighting right now, but I still have these things going on in my brain. And so he could look at himself and be like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why this is going the way that it is. That's why this failed and why this fell apart and why I acted out in this way. I wonder if even like someone like, I mean, I don't watch a ton of fighting, but like name any huge fighter now that whenever they step away, if they're so technical, they're so analytical, if they have the ability to step back and give it the choice, analyze themselves and look at their life and say, okay, I think that's why some of them, can do pretty well in business and stuff afterwards. It's because they have the ability still to analyze things at a very deep level and respond very quickly.
Yep.
True that. I guess kind of saying that that person was going to be a great person no matter what they did, because they had some skill that allowed them to focus on certain things. Yeah. And that certain thing might have been boxing or basketball or business or whatever it was. And you're saying if they would have switched that to something else, they probably would have been good at that thing as well too, which
it's like you can take into account like athletics and genetics and stuff like that when it comes to like sport specific activities. But I think at some level, if you have the drive that carries you in boxing, you still have that drive that'll carry you afterwards. But if it's, and you see some people that are strictly athletic and they do really well for a few years and then they get hurt and their whole entire life falls apart. Once they hurt their knee in football or something like that, after 2 years in the NFL, they were very athletic, but they didn't have any of these other aspects that allowed them to be sustainable. Yeah. And so all they had was their athletics. That fell apart, and then they had nothing. They went broke. They lost their millions. Their, whatever it is.
Yep. Anyways, we gotta wrap this up pretty soon.
Wrap it up.
We're reaching.
Wrap it up,
we're reaching new levels. Yeah, if y'all have a recommendation for consuming, I'm open to it. We'll wrap it up after that.
I got a quick one, guys. So I'm the type of person that likes salty things as well as sweet things. I put pineapple on my pizza. That's a big no-no in some parts of the world. But I'm that type of person. I really enjoy it. I love it. Put pineapple on everything. I don't care what it is. I had a pizza this weekend. Look,
Next.
I'm the pioneer of innovative pizza making, all right?
Okay.
Anyway, we went to Austin this weekend and I had a piece of pizza. And I've been getting pretty crazy with my breakfast, and I've only have toast with peanut butter, and I started putting honey on the peanut butter, and it's fire, all right?
Fire.
But this weekend I had a pizza and I bit into it and I had this sweet taste to it, and I was like, this is so different than any other pizza, and it had honey on it. Mm-hmm. So I've been putting honey on everything. Yesterday
you're on a honey kick?
I've got a little honey kick right now, and it's so good. Just throw honey on everything, anything that you can.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that. I can live with that. Yeah, so as far as consumerism goes, I'm actually a little bit salty about this. Speaking of being salty, I'm a little bit salty about this one. So I've been we just finished a show called Away on Netflix, and in my personal opinion, is a fantastic show. Like whether you it's about space, it's about a trip to Mars and all this stuff. Whether you like that kind of concept or you like the style of show, whether you feel like it's lifetimey or I don't know, whatever, the quality of the set, the effects, the acting, 10 out of 10. Incredible show. They had, I think, like 10 episodes. We watched it all the way through in like 3 days. Very, very well made, whether you like the kind of show or not. Very well made. I just found out like 3 days ago that it was canceled by Netflix 6 weeks after they freaking released it. And there was like a cliffhanger at the end. I won't say anything about it. Watch it if you want to. It's for me, it's probably my favorite show this year that I've seen. It was I really liked it personally. But they canceled it. I guess due to the cost, largely was the main thing. It cost them so, which is again a testament to the quality of it. But it cost them so much to make it for the amount of people that were watching this specific kind of space show that it just didn't rate as well as it. I guess in comparison to the cost. So they canceled it. So I'm pissed. I'm pissed because I was like, we finished it and I was like, dude, give me season 2 tomorrow. Like, let's go. I can't wait. And then literally found out the next day that they canceled it. And so I'm sorry. I highly recommend you watch it either way. It was still a good finishing episode. Like, it's still a good complete series, even without another season, even though I wish they had one. But I'm hoping that like Amazon or Hulu or someone will see that people liked it and that it was a good quality show, that have the money to back it, and will put up another season. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping someone else picks it up.
I don't know if that's ever happened. Loss, buddy.
It does sometimes. Every once in a while they cancel a season and someone else will pick it up, but it's rare.
I'll be surprised if you can give me one example.
You know, there's a few. You know, people have said in the certain people have told me.
Didn't The Office get canceled and it got picked up?
Hundreds of times.
Well, yeah, I know The Office started off as like a British show, right?
Well, they'll switch. I mean, largely what happens is networks, now there's not as many channels or networks that are doing this. And so that's the equivalent of like this show used to be on TNT, now it's on ABC. That happened with Last Man Standing, which was a show that was on ABC. Now I think it's on TTNT, whatever. So it happens every once in a while where the equivalent would be like, Netflix. It was a Netflix original, so Netflix is no longer. But Netflix isn't the studio. I don't know exactly how.
It was definitely an accident.
Yeah, that didn't fit. But they're not the ones that actually producing it. They're largely the network behind it. So if Amazon comes in and says y'all can still produce this, put up the money, and we'll be the network behind it, that can still happen.
Yeah. No, that would be cool, because there was another show that happened with, the name is slipping, but it was a Netflix series that, it was like semi-popular, and people were really feeling it. They kind of definitely had like its cult following, and I was one of them, and they canceled it. I guess didn't quite meet the criteria for, renewal, and it wasn't worth it when all the financials and everything were factored in. But it is unfortunate that happens with shows, especially because they purposely leave them off on cliffhangers, to make you want the next season. But yeah, it sucks. So I feel you on that one. I might check that show out though.
It's good. I mean, again, I liked it. Like, so I looked at reviews and stuff, and some people saying it was slow. I don't even mind slow shows as long as the content is quality. Game of Thrones was slow 90% of the time. Like, there were like a lot of it was conversational, a lot of it was emotional, but the content and the quality of that content was so accurate. It felt so authentic to those moments that you're like, shit, I feel what they feel. And that's what I appreciate about the show. It's in space, and there's a lot of stuff going on at home that's emotional, and all the dynamics of that I feel like are slow. But the emotions felt very real. The acting was great. So I hope something happens with it. But either way, I consumed it, thought it was great. I would advise the same.
Gotcha. All right. So mine is going to be very basic, okay? But I do need to shout it out. Lonely by Justin Bieber.
Bro.
With Benny Blanco, who is a very talented musician in his own right. So I'm assuming most people have heard this song. He's performed it on Saturday Night Live, and he has a music video for it. And it's a very powerful song that kind of gives you an idea of how he was feeling being a young star, getting all the attention he was getting. But regardless of, external forces, if you're not right, up here, then it can really affect you. And so that song it's a powerful song. I mean, it hits home for me in a lot of ways because I kind of dealt with that same struggle at times in my life, with loneliness and stuff. So I think that's why it resonates so much with me. But it's also just a very catchy song, and it kind of changes your perspective to not maybe be so judgmental about, especially celebrities, because they have so much going on, and just to kind of keep things into perspective. Everyone's kind of on their own journey. Everyone's got their own stuff going on. So I think that was a cool song for him to make, just to kind of shine a light on that, because he kind of just took a beating, you know, in press and everything, just since he was a young teenager. So that's a good song.
I gotta give props too, real quick, on the practical side to the writers of that song. I think Benny Blanco and I watched some behind the scenes video when they were talking about, I think there's one or two other people that wrote the song, and the fact that a group of people are so talented in their writing that they could pinpoint the emotion of another individual. And because like Justin Bieber was shown that song, so they can, hey, here's the song that we've written. Like, do you feel like it connects you? Do you feel like it really resonates with your experience? Is it something that you could perform? And he did. And so that, like, just props to the writers even on that song too. As much as it's amazing for him to be able to express that emotion and accurately represent his story and his experience and his life growing up as a teen star, if you will. Yeah. The fact that those writers were able to connect to that emotion and that experience within those lyrics and the simplicity of like a Rhodes piano, like that's one thing that Benny Blanco doesn't. I think he's worked with Ed Sheeran. He worked with him on Love Yourself too. Like it's all nothing but electric guitar and you just produce it perfectly with like two instruments. He does that better than I think anyone else in the industry. But just like props on the practical side. Like to be able to write and produce something like that for someone else is an incredible feat, because it feels so accurate to the person that's performing it, which I think is, you don't really think about that, but that is a feat. Like that's a miracle. You know, like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious who wrote the song, because I think that Benny Blanco guy had like just broken up with his girlfriend a little while ago. And I only know about him because he has some show with this cook that I like to watch, and I just saw him and I was like, this guy, I don't know what this guy does or how he's famous, to find out he's a producer based on this song. I was like, dang, I wonder if he wrote the song himself, because he just went through a breakup and somehow there's like two parallel stories going on within that song. But that's cool that you brought that up and that he wrote it for somebody else and got Justin Bieber to sing it for him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways, good song, powerful. I always like the songs that kind of really hit you in your feels.
Illicit emotion.
I mentioned "Listen Before I Go" by Billie Eilish. If anyone is hearing this and wants another song that's similar in that way, go check that one out, because that one's pretty. It's on that same token a little bit. It's one of my go-to when I'm in my feelings songs. So shout out that. Anyways, we've gone like extremely way too long here.
Yeah.
We're hitting Joe Rogan territory pretty soon. Anyways,
trying to get on that Duncan Trussell 5.5 hour shit.
Alex Jones 6 hour.
Let's go.
Freaking marathon.
Let's go, man. We'll split this up into 4 episodes.
Anyways, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed the new intro and theme music by our homie Don, but music is by our very own Torvik Music. Shout out to him for the vibes, and we'll be back next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. We out.
Filthy.
Fuego 30.